Heyo everyone, it's Unfit Chaos here, and oh my, what a large world. Let's get to talking about that. Heyo everyone, so in this video we're going to cover what is out there outside the fief and why you should get out there and do some of it. So we're going to get right away with what exactly is there to do outside the fief. So there are multiple reasons why people leave the fief. Some of those have to do with collecting resources, fighting rebels, doing quests, and participating in battles, particularly the territory war. So we're going to cover some of that, but first off, let's talk about how you leave the fief, and let's talk about what you need to do so. So to leave it, you want to talk to a watchman. There are going to be some at the exits and entrances for the various locations. You can also hold down tab, click on Watchman, and your character will run there. Watchman will allow you to transport goods to and from locations, as well as leave. So if you click on Leave the Fief, we get the menu, and from here you get to manage your resources. So as you see in the top corner, you have food and you have a wagon capacity. Now food is self-explanatory. Your men need to eat as you travel, so you have to maintain your food. Now your food can be re-obtained through purchasing it, whether or not you purchase it from the market or you purchase it from an inn out in the world, or you can harvest it from a farm outside the world for resource collection. We'll get into that in a sec. The last option is that you enter allied territory. If you're in friendly or allied territory, then it will automatically max back out over time. So it is a good idea as you're planning out your trip to leave that you try to every once in a while cross into allied territory. Your food only depletes as you are moving, but if you're constantly moving down here, it does have a rough timer on how long it will take the crew you take to run out of food. So kind of plan accordingly. Now below here we have our artillery and siege engines, so you can load up on your various artillery equipment if you're going out for a major battle. That's particularly something for territory wars. Generally you won't carry it and it will slow you down. You also have your supplies. So your wagon that you haul around with you, you can manage the supplies inside it. You can carry only so much at a time, so you'll normally store that in your supply dump. Once you have your supplies in order, at the bottom you have your team. You can preset warband builds to do the various tasks, but your team you're going to have to pick based off a few things. Why you're leaving, so are you marching to battle, in which case take all your good units that you think you'll need, or whether you're going to collect resources. We'll get into the resource collection in a minute, but what I will say for now is that the different units have different labor stats. That labor stat determines how well you collect resources. The higher the number, the better. So as you set up your team, keep that in mind. Peasants and feudal laborers will generally have a higher labor amount for something that is combat focused. So I'm going to run with this team. This is my harvesting team. So I'll grab them and head out, and I'll start talking to you about the world outside the fief. First off, we're going to talk about the greater world. There is currently 4 regions in Conqueror's Blade. They're going to be adding a 5th with the season 5. So if you're watching this after the fact, you have 5, but right now there are 4. They're going to be surrounding the Borderlands, that is in the center. The Borderlands is an open world free-for-all for houses to claim territory and fight in, but it will not be where you start. When you first created your character and you got shipped out from tutorial, it should have told you to select a region, and that'll be either something like Asteria. Now inside each of these territories, you're going to have a capital. That capital is where you will start by default. So for Lijiang, that is going to be Daichang in the center. This is going to be a friendly AI territory. So as I mentioned earlier, if you run around it, your food will not deplete and will actually max out while you're inside. It is surrounded by a bunch of other fiefs and territories. As I mentioned, this is AI. The rest of these will start AI, but once the territory war season starts, they will be claimed by houses. So you have to be careful as you run around for a few reasons. Capital territory is safe, friendly territory. Once you enter outside that into neutral and house-owned territory, you can be attacked by players and you can be attacked by rebels that are aggressive. So you have to keep that in mind as a new player. Safe zones are great. As you expand out, try to avoid hostiles as much as you can. That capital you start out in will also be your base camp. Your base camp is indicated by a flag sticking out of it. That is where your supply dump is and where all your units are. So as you start wandering around the world, if your units die or you run out of food, you have to get back to your base camp to swap stuff out and restart everything. So keep that in mind that you can move that camp as you enter a house or decide to move on, but that is where all your resources are at the moment. Now, as I mentioned, houses do own a lot of these territories. With that, there are different resources available in each territory. So the big reason that houses want to own this territory is that they have control of those resources and that land. They can set taxes on those resources, and in the circumstance that that is a fortress that is blocking a roadway, they can actually lock you out from being able to cross it, therefore forcing you to go around if you want something that is behind it. With the resources, as I mentioned, they can set taxes. That means if they choose to, they can overcharge you ridiculously for the resources. This doesn't cost 45,000 bronze. They made it that. Good example of that is down here. You can see that this iron mine costs 1,500 to harvest, whereas this iron mine cost 9,000 to harvest because they determined they want to charge 7,500 bronze extra for each collection. With that, let's talk about resource collection. So this is the primary reason why people typically leave the fief. You can harvest and collect resources. These resources will be used for creating artillery or creating unit kits to help your units repair or to buy them in the first place. Now, as you see, there is a smattering of different icons for different types of resources. You have cotton, you have tanneries for leather, you've got farms to give you food as you run around, iron, copper, etc. There's a lot of different nodes. Each of these nodes are different colors, as you see. That determines the rarity. So obviously white is common, just like equipment, and all the way up to purple being your epic. And that's going to help you out a lot in crafting. I'll have a whole separate video about crafting your artillery and your unit kits, so you can watch that to figure it out. The big thing to keep in mind though is higher the rarity, the more it costs to collect, and on top of that, the more efficient it is to create end resources with it. With each of these nodes, you're also going to notice there is various information. So for this cotton field, I am permitted to collect from it, whereas some of the stuff over here, you see it is prohibited that I collect from it. You can see the affiliation, and that has to do with what region controls it, or fief. So this is owned by whoever owns Jishi. And you can also see the house that owns it. Now, the other thing you notice is it does state that the status of this is low and restores in 47 minutes. What that means is as people collect from a resource node, there will be less and less resources in reserve. And that means that you will not get as much when you go to harvest from it. You typically don't want to harvest from something that has a low status. You want something that says status is active. That means there are plenty of resources available for you to collect. Now, the other information is going to be the requirements, and it's also going to specify your yields. So how many times per day you can collect it. Now, as you can see with this, I only have one yield, whereas something in allied territory, I actually have 3 yields that I can do. The tariff is what it will cost per time you go to collect. So let's actually take a look at one of these resources. Let's actually head out here to the cotton field. So clicked on the cotton field, you can left click to run around the map, or you can open the map up and actually just click directly on it with the left click, or click on the place itself. As we're heading out there, you'll notice a few things. One is my food does not deplete because I am in allied territory. The other thing is you will see people running all over the place, and that is going to mainly be the rebels. Now, if other players were crossing by, you'd see them as well with information on them. But right now we see rebels. Rebels have 3 different difficulties. You've got 1 helmet, which is easy, 2, which is medium, and you're going to have 3 helmet units, which are hard. Same is true of rebel camps. If the helmet is red, they will be aggressive and they will actually attack you if you get close. If they're yellow, they're neutral and they will ignore you unless they are attacked. So as we got to the cotton field, I left clicked on it and it opens up the menu. You can see what it is that you will collect. So this is long cotton and it's a rare quality since it's a rare quality node. The thing is, you can get other possible results as well. So these will come at varying rates, but they are going to be used to create higher quality versions of this resource. So down below, you will see the tariff. That's what I will pay per collection, how many yields I have, and then you'll see requisition tariff. So requisition tariff is going to be if you use a requisition order. Requisition orders, they allow you to negate your daily yield limit and collect an extra time. So if you say collect all 3 of your daily yields and you still want more cotton, you can requisition order it by using the requisition order and it will force it to gather again for you. The other benefit is it will charge you the base rate. So for example, if I want to go over here to these stables, they're owned by Origins. I am prohibited from collecting it. Even if I did want to collect it, it would cost 45,000, which is a lot and kind of exorbitant. But the nice benefit is if you have a requisition order, it forces it to allow me to collect. And on top of it, it will collect at the requisition rate, which is the base 7,500 cost, not the ridiculous 45,000 that they're charging me, almost 38,000 worth in taxes. That being said, I can't collect it anyway. So this is a really nice benefit to it, is that you can get around ridiculous taxes that people are charging. And if they're straight up prohibiting you, you can get around that as well. It's also wonderful because if you say have an enemy next to you, like we do with Origins, you can actually force their reserves low on these resources. So I can sit here and spam requisition orders, get all the lovely horses that I want, but on top of that, I can also deplete the reserves. So when they want to go collect it, there's not as much available. It'll be in a low status, such as their other location. So it's a nice little trick to use. Let's talk about rebels. Rebels are another big reason why people leave the fief. You'll have various quests or you'll have various challenges that want you to combat rebels or combat rebel camps. So rebels are free roaming around the map. You simply can attack them and then get in a little field battle with them. If there's other players, the same is true of that too, so be very careful. If another player comes by, they could attack me just as I could attack the rebels. So be very wary. Now, as I mentioned, if it is a red helmet and not yellow, if you get close, they will charge at you and try to attack you. If you're fast enough, you can simply dodge them. Or if you're very clever with how you click and move around, you can actually dodge them as well. They will generally run straight in your path. So as I'm running forward, they will get on my dotted line and try to have me run into them. So you can kind of do a little dodge and avoid them and get by if you're clever enough. Now with rebel camps, these are the base camps for the various rebels. As you can see, this one is an easy camp. It does require 3 players and you all have to be at least level 30. Rebel camps are an excellent way to get resources for creating equipment and for getting silver. I highly recommend you do them. Do note that almost every time I've ever ended one, pretty much 100% guaranteed, you're going to get a vault at the end. So make sure you have vault keys because vaults are an excellent way to get silver and crafting resources for equipment as well. So it in essence doubles your reward. As you fight rebels in the camp or rebels around, they will drop rebel trophies, and these rebel trophies can then be used for fief quests. Fief quests are going to be available from the various fiefs, and there are a quest that will give you resources as well for doing stuff around the map. fief quests generally are going to be stuff like collecting trophies from rebels or collecting resources to then turn into that fief. These give you stuff typically that is going to be something like unit kits, and it's going to be a great way to keep your units fed from collecting resources. So you harvest resources to make unit kits, and then you use some of those resources to turn in as fief quests to then get unit kits again. So you can go up to any of the fief locations and look into their fief quests or at their fief overview, and it's another tab there. There's going to be a bunch of different quests. Like I said, they're usually resource based or they're going to be based off rebels, and they will give you a box of Silver Era Eastern kits. You do get other rewards as well, but that's generally the one you'll get. You also, though, have to keep in mind that the fief quests do have a weekly limit, and that is going to be 20, and there is a daily quest for doing a fief quest. So you do want to keep in mind that you don't want to go and do all 20 in one day, because then you won't be able to do the dailies. That being said, if you don't plan to do the dailies, go ahead and do all 20 in one day. You also have other information here, message boards, the treasury, which gives you a log of what's been going on, and the overview that gives you a general idea of local products and the economy. So the big thing here with local products is this is stuff that can be collected from that location. As owners of locations, you have the benefit of being able to do things in them that you normally can't. For example, with the fief down here, you have the ability inside of it to craft Palace Guardsman kits, Azop kits, Rattan Ranger kits, and well-made cannons. This is not something you can typically craft in other locations. There's a bunch of different benefits that various locations will have. Some will have none, some will have some, such as this one with Dagger Axe Lancer kits and Rattan Ranger kits. So that is a great benefit to owning the territory, is to have control of all that. So we've covered that you might be leaving the fief to collect resources, fight rebels, do fief quests. The last reason is to participate in a territory war. Territory war is an event that takes place twice during the week while that season is taking place, and that is the fight over owning all this territory. So territory wars is something we're going to get into more in a separate video, but in general, all you need to know is it's fighting to control various fiefs to get the benefits of owning them. So we'll get more into that at a later date. So I hope this video helped you out in figuring out what's outside the fief and what there is for you to do. If you like this, please hit the like button or subscribe if you want to see the video about territory wars and rebel camps that I'm going to be coming out with, as well as with season 5 approaching, all the information that's going to be released about season 5 that I will be doing content on. Please, if you want to keep the discussion going, comment down below or join the Discord. I also Twitch stream at 12:30 a.m. Eastern, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday if you want to chat and hang out there as well. Once again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the battlefield. Do they set up? Oh,